Welcome to Santa Barbara Forum. I'm Cheryl Trosky, your guest host tonight with Rhonda Huesgen.
Welcome. Cheryl, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Well, I got started with the Santa Barbara Republican Party about 3 years ago. After the 2020 election, I realized that I needed to get involved locally, that it all couldn't happen in Washington, D.C. And so I applied to be on the Independent Redistricting Commission, got on that commission and was instrumental in shaping the county lines so that each supervisorial district was representative of the electorate and gave people the opportunity to have fair and open, honest elections and be represented by people that would really speak for them and give them a voice.
I remember that, and if we have time, maybe you can go into more detail about that as we go along. Is there anything else you have to say about yourself?
From there, I was pretty charged and got involved locally with the county committee and started attending the meetings and really enjoyed that and wanted to help make a difference there, and eventually became a voting member of the committee, and I am now the first district caucus chair for District 1. I'm also the California Election Integrity Officer from Santa Barbara to the state GOP, and I am also the grassroots director representing District 1 for the Republicans.
Well, if we can certainly talk about those more in depth as we go along, but that's a full plate for you, isn't it? I actually, are you finished?
Yeah.
My name is Rhonda Huesgen. I'm a grassroots volunteer for decades. I've been walking the streets and calling for volunteers and putting the flags in the parade for years and years, and I recently just decided that I wanted to get a little more involved and step up too, so I'm running for county committee as well in District 2. Some of the things that I've done, Cheryl, I think I've told you before, but I was a docent at the Reagan Center for over 10 years, and that was really, I felt honored to represent President Reagan, and actually I'm getting chills just talking about it because he's such an inspiration, and going to the ranch is really endearing, and I've been there many times, and it's always great. Every time I go there, it's really great, and maybe if we have time, I can talk more about some of those tours I've given. I've also been the president of my HOA, and that was for about 10 years too, and most recently, I have been working on the precinct strategy project, which you know about as well, and again, we can talk about that as we go along, but it's quite something that you get to know your neighborhood, you get to know the people that you live with, and your neighbors actually get to know that they're not alone in this climate that we're in. It's always nice to know other like-minded Republican or conservative neighbors.
And I'd really like to, that's a great segue into how that really supports the structure of the Republican Party, because we have the national party, we have the state party. The county committee really is a feeder to those two organizations, and all the precinct work that you're doing, and the precinct is the smallest voting block in our county, established by the county elections division. The work that is done with recruiting volunteers and the outreach that you're doing through the precinct strategy it helps the Republican Party at the central committee level recruit volunteers, get out the vote, fundraise. It's really, the county committee is where everything happens centrally. And so if an organization isn't growing, it's dying. So the precinct strategy is really important to keeping the county committee vitalized with new, fresh faces, and also adding new people to the county and getting people involved. There's over 58,000 registered voters in the county, and so we're hoping to energize that those registered voters.
Yeah, well, what it seems when I talk to the general population, a lot of people don't know about the county committee, and that's it. Well, it starts actually with the national GOP, and then it comes down to the California head of our Republican GOP, and then it goes to the county. And a lot of my friends, and myself included for many years, didn't really know what the county central committee for the GOP. And we basically, can you explain what it does? It governs the...
Sure. It adopts the Republican Party platform and messages that platform to the Republicans here in the county. We are involved with fundraising, get out the vote, increasing voter participation. Voter registration is a huge component of the work county committee does in terms of getting our percentage of registered voters increased so that we have greater representation on commissions and greater representation and presence here in the county. So that's a really important function of the county committee, along with volunteer recruitment, and that volunteers are critical in being poll workers for the county, poll observers, phone banking, walking, distributing campaign materials, helping find candidates, vet candidates, and we want to find candidates that are going to be winning candidates, and then supporting them through their campaign, and then after they're elected, they need support. So the county committee is really important to vitalizing and energizing the registered Republicans here.
Yeah, talking to my neighbors that come to my precinct meetings, they don't really know about that very much, about how that runs and what happens in the Republican Party in our county. So I think I think that where again the precinct strategy really is helping to inform people and getting people more involved. And we were at one time we had some people talking about things that were on the ballot, like that they wanted to talk about, and they were had a discussion about it, and there are a lot of people out there that pay attention to these things.
Right. And so I think that with the outreach that we've done in our neighborhoods, your neighborhood, my neighborhood, and various other people that have joined along with us, what we have found is Republicans feel isolated. And the beauty of this outreach with all of the resources that we have from county committee and the state, they really support our effort and help us with our outreach to the community and help create community amongst Republicans, neighborhood by neighborhood. And it just, a strong neighborhood is important for a strong party.
Well, and what I found is people are surprised that they have neighbors that are the same political leaning as they do, because we're in a minority in this county.
And so the first time I pulled my precinct list to find all the Republicans in my neighborhood, I was surprised there were 210 in my little neighborhood, 210 registered Republicans. And so I called, of that whole list of 210 families, I knew one family. And so I called up Nancy and I said, Nancy, would you like to get to know other Republicans in your neighborhood? And she said, there's more than one.
Yeah, that's about what I heard too.
And so we have had, subsequently, we've had 3 or 4 get-togethers, and it's been lovely. Yeah. It's been lovely to connect with like-minded people, to discuss ideas, share ideas, and exchange different podcasts that we listen to, materials that we find, and different issues that come up. It's another beautiful thing with this precinct strategy is to get our message out. One of the biggest issues come election time, and we have an election coming up March 5th,
Right.
and ballots are coming out February 5th, is that people don't know who to vote for. And neighborhood by neighborhood, we can begin to get our message out and educate voters.
Well, it's so true, because there's some people that are really loyal and vote in every election.
Right.
And then there's the folks that, well, maybe not vote on the primaries, but will vote on the general election. So we don't expect everybody to be at the same degree. And so we reach out to them, and then we help to see if some people want to get involved and want to volunteer at different aspects like we've been mentioning, and then just to educate the other folks of what is going on in there. And it's been quite eye-opening to me too, to see how people are reacting to this. Mine has been really great, but maybe we'll get into that later.
What kind of issues have come up in the work you've done
well,
amongst people?
Yeah, we've had, one time we had people talk about, there was, I think the landlord issues or something. Somebody wanted to talk about that. So we talked a little bit about it, and then it was, the other one was, I think, Prop 19, that
Right.
they were talking about that. And so somebody presented about that, and
there was a lot of discussion around Prop 19 because that was so confusing on the ballot. I remember not knowing how to vote on Prop 19. And so going forward, we want to make sure that we've vetted those propositions and that we're reaching out to our voter to say, okay, this is what it means.
Well, actually,
and Prop 1 is a prime example.
This year.
Yes.
Yeah.
In this ballot.
Yeah, they're named different than what they really are. Sometimes. You ever notice that?
Yes.
Well, what I actually found was people in my precinct maybe been smarter than what they were, other people, the leaders had told them about it and stuff. So I found people that had, that were looking into it, and I loved it. I mean, I loved it. We had a good discussion, and I just have to tell you, my first meeting at my precinct strategy, I was a little nervous if anybody was even going to come. I mean, it's like, I knew some of my neighbors a little bit, or acquaintances, and they were very reluctant to come. They didn't really know if I was going to ask them for money or what I was going to do. But you know what I did? I did what you did. I served them wine and hors d'oeuvres, and I didn't even ask them for anything. I said, it can be just social, or it can be whatever you want. And I said, there's no pressure here. And one man said, yeah, that's what I feel. And I thought, really, seriously? And so people came the first time, and I was really proud of them to come to something they didn't know what they were getting into. And then the next, I had them kind of about a month apart, so to speak. And then the next one, different people came because, your schedules are different. Some people are on vacation. Anyway, so different people came. And then about the third one I had, they started RSVPing and say, yeah, I'll be there. And then they started bringing friends.
Yeah.
And then they started bringing, just other people would come, not even from my precinct.
Right. And I think we've both experienced that we've met some really wonderful people through this.
Yeah.
And individuals I would have never met. And that's the beautiful thing is.
Well, and you might find, I ran into one of my doctors, a retired doctor in my group, and he lives in my neighborhood, and it's a kick. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
And you don't know who wants to be involved and who doesn't.
And the other thing I loved is I would go to social functions in my neighborhood and never talk politics, ever, right? And when I looked at my list, I started seeing, oh my gosh, Kate's a Republican, Sarah's a Republican, and it was really wonderful. And then it gave me the ability to have another dimension to our relationship because we could talk freely.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing that was special about our getting together, was that we were able to talk freely. And you were allowed to talk politics.
Yeah. And normally we are, it's a taboo subject in whenever you have an outing. One of the interesting things, because I said, as I mentioned before, I've been a grassroots involved activist for years, and I would just be talking to some of my friends, and they say, well, what are you doing? Can I come? And they were from other districts, and sure, come. And then they would, one time we had about 4 people or 5 people that weren't even from my precinct, and guess what? Because of other people coming, as a result of mine, 3 other precincts have started in their neighborhoods, right? And
Which is awesome.
And you attended one of those too,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes. And that, that's the idea. There's over 800 precincts in the county. And so we've kind of energized and activated this idea here in the South County, and would like to see it spread. I'm in District 1, you're in District 2. District 3 is Santa Ynez, Lompoc, and then we get up into District 4, Orcutt, Santa Maria, and then District 5, Guadalupe, and parts of Santa Maria. And so what I really am enjoying about being a candidate for a county committee is that I'm reaching out to a lot of different parts of District 1 that neighborhoods I wouldn't normally get into.
Yeah, exactly.
And I am getting to know other people in parts of the district that I wouldn't have gotten to know. District 1 goes all the way up to New Cuyama, which is amazing.
Are you going there?
And so, but I have been talking to some people up there. It's been fun.
I didn't even know that, Cheryl.
Isn't that wild? And I want to get up there. There's a restaurant there I want to go have lunch at.
Well, you'll have to gather some of those folks up there.
Yes, exactly. Maybe we'll have a meeting there.
Sure.
And District 1 goes all the way to Carpinteria.
Yeah, that's and
so it takes in Carp, Summerlin, Montecito, East Side, West Side.
Tucker's Grove. You're
right?
about to Tucker's Grove too.
Right.
Yeah,
and,
that's huge. That's huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Now your district, District 2, is a lot small. It's more compact.
It is very compact.
It's probably it'll be the same population, but it's a lot more compact.
Yeah, it's the Mesa to a little past Fairview, and then up to Cathedral Oaks and about in that area. Yeah, it's pretty. It is way more compact than that. Yeah. That's way more compact than mine. But anyway, if we have time, we'll talk more about that.
Right.
Where do we get on?
One thing that we've been able to do is energize the base and energize Republicans. And so many Republicans want to do something, and they just don't know what to do. And my message is the best thing to do is to get involved locally. And I am an example of being involved on a commission. There are so many advisory boards and commissions here in the county that need people to fill those places. They're powerful, they're influential. Sometimes you get involved and you really don't know what you're doing, and there's a lot of on-the-job training, which was my experience. But it's a great experience, and it's a way to affect a change. It's not political if you want to stay nonpartisan, but it's a way to have influence in county government, in either whether it be your little whether it be the city of Santa Barbara, or it be a commission or an advisory board that's advising on the county level, or whether it be a water board in Goleta, or sanitation in Montecito. All of these places, Carpinteria, all of them have a need for people to be involved in these ways that may seem small, but they're not. They're really significant.
Well, I actually don't know very many people that are serving on any of those.
I know.
And you said you learn on the job. I think people are afraid to get into those because they don't feel qualified.
And these are advisory, they're commissions, you're supported. I mean, the county does a great job of supporting volunteers that step forward. And so you're not out there on your own. And depending on which party you're involved in, you'll get support from your party. And so my time on the redistricting commission, we had an attorney that was assigned to us. We had consultants that were assigned to help us and set things up and do the outreach. And it was I felt supported from the county.
How long were you? How long was that redistricting? I remember
it was a year. It was a year commitment. It runs. I'm a commissioner for 10 years.
Okay.
So I am a commissioner until the new redistricting commission is seated in 2030. And so that commission is an 11-member commission. And
who composes that? Can you break that down?
Sure. It is comprised, it's based on voter registration. So right now, the October 2023, the Secretary of State came out with new numbers, and the Republicans are 24% of the total registered voters in the county.
So how many will they get on the?
And so in 2020, we were 27%, if I've got that right. And so we had 3 commissioners on an 11-member body. And so 3 commissioners were Republican, and the rest were Democrat and unaffiliated, with the majority being Democrat, because the Democrats have over 50%, maybe close to 60% of the registered voters in Santa Barbara County are Democrat.
Oh yeah, we know that.
And and then and so it's really important that not only the Republican Party the county party have a short-term vision for this election, 2024, the primary and the general, but also that we have a long-term vision for 2030 when we are going to be seated at the commission.
Well, I can see the importance of that, because I was just thinking, I can see why if you were 27%, you get 3. But at 24%, you're going to get 2.
And if we keep declining, we've lost some percentage.
Yeah.
And part of it is that we've increased voter registration in Santa Barbara County. It's up by about 3,000. So it was 237,000, and now we're up over 240,000.
But our percentage went down.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's independents, the non-party preference people as well on that.
And so what we need to get better at is increasing the Republican Party registration and retaining Republicans to stay in the party.
Yeah.
And I think if we give Republicans a compelling reason to stay in the party, if we are showing them ways that they can contribute and be involved and make a difference, and it's a meaningful experience, and that they see that we're finding candidates that are winning in county elected positions, not just because it's a non-contested race and you just walked into the race, but we're winning. I think it'll really help to increase our presence here in the county and help get more Republicans wanting to vote, wanting to register.
Yeah, I think that our presence does need to be increased a lot. I think people are saying, well, my neighbors don't know what the Central Committee, they've not heard of that before. And so I think it would be great if we could get more media coverage and speak out when there's the appropriate times, and so make ourselves be seen and heard. And
I'd like to see more press releases. I'd like to see more letters to the editor. I'd like to see a Central Committee function in a way that, look, it's a 21 members on county committee. When March 5th we re-elect a new county committee. Every 4 years, county committee has to be re-elected.
When do they start
or elected?
working?
And so the vote takes place March 5th, and so that will decide county committee for 2025.
Yeah,
so
okay.
the people that are elected in March won't take their seat until January of 2025.
Oh, they have a lot of prep time. Right?
Yeah, yes, yeah. Hopefully there won't be a lot of on-the-job training. But as the county committee develops and moves forward, I'd really like to see the county committee function from a strategic plan. I'd like to see the county committee have a retreat in January.
Sure,
where we get
sense.
together, we huddle, we talk about how we're going to increase fundraising, how we're going to get out the vote, how we're going to increase voter registration, establish metrics, and come up with our goals, and then develop tactics on how we're going to reach those goals 6 years out, 4 years out, 2 years out, monthly. And so that when we meet as a committee once a month, we're talking about what did we do this past month? How many people have we registered to vote? What outreach are we doing? What are we attending? How are we increasing our presence? What has been suggested is that each district run as a small county committee, so that each district would have a get out the vote effort. But I'd also like to see within county committees established, so that we have, for people that are interested in school issues.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one
that
here.
we have a committee that's just focused on that, and that they have their team of volunteers, and when there's a call to action, that it's 40, 50, 100 people showing up. And that you have people that are focused on that issue. We have another committee focused on voter registration, because as I've explained, it's critical.
We have people that are doing both those types of things, but I don't think, I mean, I know people personally that are working on those issues or have, but we don't have that organized from the county committee yet.
It's focused. There's metrics that we are looking at our numbers and saying, okay, where are we at in terms of our percentage of registered voters in the county, and what can we do better? And I think we have to keep asking, what can we do better?
I think we need to, I think I can see that as a place for that to come from Central Committee, because that is a good platform.
They're leaders. There are leaders.
Yeah.
County Committee are the county leaders of the Republican Party. And so we need people on County Committee that we hold our feet, that our feet are being held to the fire, and that we are engaged, and we're making a difference. We're moving the needle.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a big task.
It is.
It's a real big task, and
big responsibility.
Yeah, I think in District 2, I remember speaking with Greg Hamill, who's running on my team as well, and he's talked about that he had presented a
strategic plan.
A strategic plan to Central Committee, and I actually haven't seen it, but it sounds like something you're talking about. You've probably talked to him about this.
Yes, and when I talk about school board or school issues, I think of James Fenkner, I think of Christy Lozano, both candidates running, and they are passionate about making the schools safe for our children.
Right.
And not only making the schools safe, but getting back to basics, reading, writing, arithmetic.
Yes.
And that they are critical thinkers, not indoctrinated thinkers, but critical thinkers.
Well, actually, I'm a grandma, and my daughter has talked about my oldest grandson just went to college this year, and she's used the words critical thinking before too, and I think it might be a lost definition, and I don't know. I'll tell you what I think it is, and then you tell me if you think it's I think a critical thinker is one that knows both sides of an issue, and then makes their decision with knowledge from that, not just from one side. Do you have anything?
And I so agree with you, and I think what's happening is that there is a a source of knowledge, and anything outside that accepted source is considered misinformation.
Oh,
and
that term.
So if you, and I saw this with my son in high school, if you present a position that isn't part of the narrative, you're really ostracized, and it gets real uncomfortable. And so I'd like to see that where that's where I would like to see county committee have a focus on school board issues where there is not just that we support the people. There are a group of people that are very passionate about school issues, and I'd like to see them supported more, I guess is where I'm going with this. I'd like to see there be all the different groups that are in Santa Barbara County. I'd like to see them have a home at county committee, and that they felt that the Republican Party is a place where their voice can be heard, and that it's action oriented, and the work is meaningful and moving forward. And so, that does concern me, all the different conservative groups in the county. If we could get them to come together, and I'm going to reach back to redistricting, because that is really where I saw it happen.
Okay.
Because with redistricting, if, like I said, there were only 3 Republicans on this commission. If we didn't have the support of our community that came out really strong, we would have lost. But our community showed up. All the different organizations came together and spoke with one voice. And so we were packing the chamber with people that were fired up and wanted to make sure that this Citizens Independent Redistricting Commission lived up to its name.
Yeah, well, you have a good story on that.
Yeah, and it was inspirational to me. And so from that, I just saw that if we could bring all these groups together and keep them together, all the unaffiliated, independent, registered voters that have left the Republican Party, if we could give them a compelling reason to re-register as a Republican, and that would be with candidates that are vetted, that are winning candidates, and give them a reason to want to vote Republican, I think that would help to unite us. And without a united voice, it's just not going to. We're going to just keep on.
Well, I'm the big pumper up for the precinct strategy. That is getting. That's the grassroots, and that's basically what I said I was at the beginning, as a grassroots volunteer. And I can't help myself because I don't know. I just can't help myself most of the time for getting involved. And it's really the place to start. And I want to just mention that the precinct strategy was taken off of Dan Schultz that started it. I bought his book. It was in 2017, I believe. That's the copyright. I always look at copyrights. I don't know why. I just want to see when this happened. Anyway, he started it in Arizona at one point, and I'm not sure where. Do you know where? I don't remember.
Not exactly.
But anyway,
probably Maricopa.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, so he started this precinct strategy project, and it is like we said, a neighborhood getting together. And I love what you told me, because you were at a convention one time. So tell me what you said about.
Sure, that was like another inspirational moment. I am also a delegate. It was Mike Stoker appointed me as a delegate to the California State Party Convention. And at the convention is where we vote on the party platform.
Sure.
And amongst other things, many other things. but I was excited to be a delegate. Anyway, loved going to the state convention, and I highly encourage anyone that's interested to go to the state convention. It's a really informative, fun time to connect with Republicans throughout the state. And when I was there, I met a woman, a Hispanic woman from Riverside. Mm-hmm. And she went on to tell me that they were the only county in the state that voted to recall Gavin Newsom. And I said, how did you do that?
Yeah,
And she said, neighborhood by neighborhood.
Neighborhood by neighborhood, which means the precinct strategy
right.
again.
Right, neighborhood by neighborhood, having small neighborhood gatherings. They were able to get their message out and in a powerful way. The other experience I had was talking to an Afghanistan veteran who had done 2 tours of duty in Afghan. And he said the reason why we never won there is because the Afghanis have strong neighborhoods and they couldn't break them. And so strong neighborhoods are powerful. And if we can start at the neighborhood level and then it percolates up to the county, to the state, it's the best way to make a difference.
This just makes me laugh because as you're saying that at a small level, I grew up on a farm in North Dakota and my town was really small and we lived 11 miles out in the country on top of it. The town was like 1,500, and when you're from a small town, you got to be good because people know. So I mean, that's kind of what a precinct is actually. That's what I was likening that to. It's people know you, and people you get to know other people, and you're not invisible like you are in a larger city, and even this town. You can be invisible. But anyway, that just came to my mind. I just thought that was really kind of funny.
Yeah, definitely. And for a lot of these neighborhood gatherings, some people just want to get together socially and connect with their neighbors, connect with other like-minded Republicans. And that's been also a fun experience too, building the community that way. And it's a great way to be able to get our message out,
Well, I'd had about 3 precinct gatherings and kind of had an agenda, or not necessarily, kind of loose, but I had one holiday party, and there was no agenda, but different people came as well. The people that I invited different people at different times to come, and this time I invited the team that I'm running with, and Christy Lozano and James Fechner and Greg Hamill. They came, and so my precinct folks got to meet them, and they would be representing them. And so we didn't have an agenda. We just stood around and talked and ate and drank. And you know what? It was in early December and it was inside and outside, so it was great to have it. But that was just social.
Right.
That was just social. And not that we, did I say this before? It's kind of funny. I think that my precinct, they were leery. They didn't know what they were going to get into. They didn't know if I was going to ask them for money or something,
right.
It was like, and then they realized, she's really not asking us for money.
Right.
She's just giving us wine.
Speaking of money, this is another way for us to keep money here in Santa Barbara County.
Oh, for the fundraising.
Oh my gosh, so much of the money from Santa Barbara goes to other states.
I don't understand that. How does that work?
I just attended a fundraiser for Congressman Zinke that was held here in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And he was asking a big number to be at that event, and all that money was leaving the county.
Oh, well, I know where he's running from.
Montana.
Montana, yeah, it's right next to the state I grew up.
Right, yeah. So,
but he has roots here as well.
Yes, he does. But still, he's running in Montana.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. He's a great guy, and I fully support him.
Well,
he was wonderful to meet him. But so it is. We don't want to ask for money at the precinct meetings or at the neighborhood get-togethers, but it would be nice to start encouraging people and having people have a reason to be putting that money back here in our county,
Yeah, and
because
I see what you're
our
saying now.
candidates need the support.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how can we have good candidates, recruit good candidates, if we don't have a way to support them, both in time and materials, but in money?
Yeah,
And
that's a very good point.
Yeah, and I know in District 1, Mary Hudson is also running for county
Okay,
committee.
yeah, right.
And her and I were at that fundraiser for Congressman Zinke. And you know, we were talking about that very thing, is wouldn't it be wonderful to be having something like this for one of our candidates, right?
Yeah, wouldn't
like,
it?
It's like Sari Dominguez, who's running, you know,
Oh,
to have
she's great. I heard her speak the other day. Oh my goodness.
And then we have
she's running for Assembly.
Greg Hart.
Greg Hart's 37, I believe.
Right. Yeah. And so so it's been interesting. Mary Hudson and I have gotten to know each other a lot better, because we're both you know, running for county committee, along with Nick Sebastian, who's another firebrand. He's amazing. Publishes The Wave and is just so generous to the party with his time.
Oh yeah,
and
that's really
talents.
appreciated, because that's a job you have to be dedicated for. You can't just do it once and twice.
Right.
It's every week. How often does that come out?
Every week.
Once a week?
I think it might be a couple times.
I know
a
it
week.
might. It might be, because it does show up.
Yeah, he does an amazing job. He's so talented, very talented. And then we have also Charles Cole running for county committee, and pretty excited for him. He's a young guy, and
he wants to be involved.
We need more young people involved.
Yes, we sure do.
Right. Right, and the other exciting thing happening is Young Republicans has been re-energized here in the county. Cole Lupoli's heading that up, and again, Nick Sebastian is...
Who's heading that up?
Cole Lupoli.
Okay.
He is heading that up, and Nick has been helping him quite a bit. So they've had several events, and one I attended that was... it was the watch party for the debate between Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was a good one. That was definitely a good one. Yeah. So it would be fun to have more events like that. Yeah. The other thing I'd like to see is county committee have an established calendar. You know, like last year, remember we did Flag Day, and so now I've got Flag Day on my calendar. Yeah. And coming up, that was super fun when we did that rally, and want to do that again. That I would love to see us do more rallies, because those are great fun.
Well, now you're talking about me. I had a flag. We don't have 4th of July parade. We didn't have a 4th of July parade this year, and I can't say it's the biggest event that we ever had. Was our July parade? It doesn't. It doesn't hold candle to a couple others we have around here. But so instead of having a 4th of July parade this last year, I organized a bunch of people at State in Las Positas, where we were out there putting flags. And actually, I think we had the flags out all day that day. And then folks came by and we're standing with our flags and waving them. It's so fun. It makes you feel so good when cars go by and honk. And I mean, the 4th of July. Anyway, that was just one of the fun things that I like to do.
You know, and as our country moves away from being patriotic and celebrating our founding fathers and celebrating all the things that make this country unique and wonderful, and the best experiment that's ever done in the history of freedom, it's important that we celebrate these things and showcase them in a big way. And so I know the 4th of July parades are kind of going by the wayside. We always have a great fireworks display, right? But love to see the patriotism come back.
It just warms my heart. I feel real happy about waving a flag.
I think so, and I think it's an important reason to elect officials that really love our country. So many times our elected officials don't even show up for these patriotic events. And so I think it's another reason why we need to educate the voters so that on the ballot, from the state to the federal to the county to the down ballots, that the contests that are local, that people know who to vote for, and that we start getting people representing us that are giving us a voice. And so I think educating voters is really huge.
And I'm finding those people in my neighborhoods. And
yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a broken record.
No. But the other aspect, I wanted to touch on this when we were talking about county committee and things I'd like to see it focus on would be to also establish a committee that was just assigned to finding volunteers to monitor all of the Board of Supervisor meetings, the water board meetings, the sanitation districts, the Santa Barbara City Council meetings,
and the City College,
and Santa Barbara City College, the school, and so, but for sure, because a lot of these laws and regulations are being passed because there's no one there opposing it.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a stop sign to say, hey, no, we don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Or let's think about this a different way. Or maybe this is going to have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
And present, a conservative idea that they're not going to hear unless we stand up and speak.
Well, it's not always a conservative idea, because I was at the state and Hope State and Hope redevelopment in the La Cumbra Plaza, and oh my gosh, I think it was from 5 to 7 a couple weeks ago, and I got there a little after 5, and the line was enormously long to get into that event, and there's 640 rentals that are going to be put in there, I believe. I could be corrected on that. I think, I think that's pretty close.
It's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big number, and it was so many people there, that I didn't even get up to the displays. So I just started to ask people what their concerns were.
Right.
And basically, they said water, traffic, and schools.
Yeah.
And I not only those people, but people I associate with. It doesn't matter which side you're leaning towards, but the water thing is a big deal. I don't know how in the world we can continue developing more development around this town, because I believe that we've decreased, the citizens have decreased by 25% of the water that they're using, and also the desaltation plant I think gets 30%, but we still can't, we're still told to conserve more water all the time, which I understand. Now it's raining, but that's not every
But still,
every year.
We're being told to conserve water, all the while we're told to keep building.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So this is
the mandate from Sacramento is not logical.
And this is not one party at all line. There's the whole board, the whole gamut of Democrats, Republicans, Independents are not happy about that.
Right.
That is not just one party issue at all.
Well, it's changing the makeup of our county.
Yeah.
It's changing. We don't have control of our neighborhoods. We don't have a right to say, no, because we have this mandate from Sacramento, which is
unfunded
really
mandates. Yeah,
unfunded mandates.
Yeah, and that goes to the national level as well.
Right.
Unfunded mandates. It's
right.
Nearly impossible. I think that the citizens' voices need to be heard more, and not just even one party.
Right. I mean, everyone needs to get up and step up.
Yeah.
And really get involved, because, this is our county. This is our government.
It's our home.
And it's our home, and we have a right to have a say in how our government functions, and it's a right that we need to exercise.
Well, when I moved here about over 20 years ago, I remember hearing, oh, that's so beautiful because of the architecture.
Yeah.
And I mean, the architecture is outstanding, but there was a limit on like a 3-story
Right.
structure,
Yeah.
and now that's gone away, and I don't even know what's about that. I mean, I don't get it. I'm
Yeah, well, part of it
confused.
is the mandate, is that they're trying to find these, I think it's 25,000 homes, it's some extraordinary number that the county needs to
Fill,
come up,
yeah.
meet that mandate. Otherwise, you go to builder's remedy, which means they can build whatever they want if you don't satisfy the state's mandate.
Well, boy,
And so our government, our local government's scrambling and allowing the building height to be
what do you
pierced.
what do you think a solution could be?
Well, a solution is for people to get more involved.
Yes,
That is the only way. We have abdicated our role
Yeah.
as citizens. We've abdicated our civic duty. We have a civic duty to be involved.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with that, because again, Riverside County,
Right.
neighborhood by neighborhood,
Right.
talk to their folks, and I think people either need to get involved or
It's not comfortable. It's not, I'd much rather be sipping lemonade by the swimming pool.
or a glass of wine.
But, I feel a duty and a responsibility.
Yeah.
And I really wouldn't, at this juncture, and again, my awakening was after 2020. Because prior to that, I was busy with my family,
people
my
are
kids,
busy.
and working and
Yeah.
whatever. And I figured, everything was running along nicely because everything seemed to be just fine.
Yeah.
Until my eyes were thrown wide open. And now I can no longer
Yeah, I
just let other people make laws and rules for me without me having a say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all get called or get awakened at some time.
Right, right. And so I believe that if we want to see lower taxes, if we want to see less regulation, if we want to see decreased crime, if we want to see better education, better economy, and we want to restore the erosion of our freedoms, we've got to speak up. We've got to get involved.
This sounds
all
like
58,000 Republicans need to stand up.
This sounds like Ronald Reagan's stance. He wanted lessen the regulations and lower the taxes, and I mean it's the way that capitalism brings more prosperity and it raises people out of the poor income levels than anything else, and that's what we want.
I mean,
we want everybody to be prosperous.
What's shocking is that it's proven to work. I mean,
Yeah.
America has proven
Yeah.
that free enterprise, you let people be free and work and do and take the shackles off of them, and they are majorly productive, and communities, the economy is vibrant. When all we have to do is look where socialism has been tried around the world. It has never worked, and yet we're trying to do it here.
Yeah.
We're trying to push it here. And so it doesn't make any sense, but hopefully if more like-minded people that believe in the American values can get involved and speak up, and we can make a difference.
Yeah, it is. It's at that point it just sounded like Ronald Reagan to me.
Yeah.
What an idol he was.
Yeah, we need to win. We need some wins.
Yep.
We do need some wins. And so I guess that's my call to action, right? But the first call to action, the most immediate one, is to vote.
Yeah.
In this upcoming election. The March 5th primary is an important one. And hopefully Rhonda will win.
Yeah, and Cheryl will.
And Mary Hudson
And our
Nick
team.
Sebastian and Charles Cole, James Fenkner, Christy Lozano,
Greg Hamill.
Greg Hamill,
And,
Colleen Estrada,
oh, right. Yeah,
Kathy Velasquez in
Yeah.
District 3. Who else do we have out there? Carolina Bates
Oh, yeah.
is running, and Carol Redhead. And yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
yeah,
people
yeah.
And
so-
I really do also, the call to action is, my goodness, if you feel compelled to get on a committee or a board or a commission, somebody in my precinct meeting has been on the grand jury a couple times. And he said, we need more people
Yes,
on.
yes,
we
they do.
need more people to become involved, because he gets outvoted a lot of the time.
Right.
And it was just, there's so many things you can do. Even if you don't think you're qualified, you can learn on your job. I keep always pushing myself, I guess.
Well, I think the big message is that your vote matters, and that people need to get involved.
One thing we didn't even have enough time to touch on
Which
is your election integrity work.
Oh my.
We haven't even had that. We'll have to come back again, huh?
Oh my gosh, yes, election integrity. Yeah. Well, our county elections office does a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I've been over there too.
Yeah, we've spent quite a bit of evenings there monitoring the elections, and days after the election. I mean, the election won't be decided probably for 17 days after March 5th. So the ballots, the polls close 8 p.m. March 5th, and you have to have your ballot must be postmarked by March 5th to be counted.
Well, it's so interesting, because one of my friends was a precinct worker, and she was counting the ballots that night, years ago. And that was pretty simple, and it was done, and we knew in the morning, and it's changed quite a bit. And it would be less costly to just have people count them that night, and very simple.
Right.
And I mean, like I said, we could go into this forever. And
Taiwan did it. Taiwan had all paper ballots.
France did it too.
France does it as well.
Yeah, I mean,
they know that night who won.
And we used to.
And we used to know. We
Yeah,
used to know. Well, Rhonda, it looks like we are out of time. This has been a great conversation.
Oh my gosh.
And thank you so much. I've enjoyed being here with you.
It was really fun. Time went by so fast.
It did, and I look forward to doing this again.
We could go on forever. Till next time.
To be continued.
Till next time. Here we go.
Cheers.